Welcome to the Alsco Uniforms It Pays to Keep Clean podcast, where we discuss industry best practices, celebrate big wins, and share stories about Alsco's growth journey. Jean Ketter, thanks for joining us on the podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Dana. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and where are we?
We are in
audience.
Salt Lake City
Yes.
at the National Sales Meeting, and I'm really enjoying it. It's my first opportunity to be a part of it, so really having a good time.
So the last couple of weeks you've certainly been dropped into the deep end, I imagine, so I hope you're a fast and strong swimmer. We're about to find out. But before we get into kind of where you are now and what you think the future holds for your department and perhaps yourself and some of the initiatives, let's talk a little bit about where you've been. So you live in and around the Charlotte area now.
That's correct.
And you've been with Alsco just for a few years, I think.
Yeah, just 3 years last week.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Great. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you so much.
So talk to us a little bit about what you did prior to coming to Alsco and then what interested you in coming to Alsco.
Absolutely. Funny enough, my career started in sales. So this opportunity at the National Sales Meeting, I'm getting a chance to kind of re-energize
Back
some
to
of
your
those.
roots.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But for the first 7 years of my career, I was the equivalent of a regional sales manager. Had a team of about 12 individuals. We had a territory covering the southeastern United States. And we got into the early aughts. I think that's how you say it.
Yes.
The early aughts, and things started to slow down in our industry. And over time, I had to lay off a few of my
What
sales
was the
reps.
industry?
Building materials. We
Okay.
sold the interior moldings of
Okay.
homes and things like that. And as home building started to slow down, we started to see our business. And I would help them because many of my sales reps, it's been 20 years since they had filled out a job application or did an
gosh.
interview
Yeah,
or had
yeah.
a resume. And it kind of sparked this thing in me to pursue something outside of sales. And I ended up working with a staffing company for job placement, and that's what invigorated this HR journey I've been on for the last 20 years.
Probably something you didn't even know really existed as a fully formed
Had no
profession
idea.
beforehand. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now there are a lot of transferable skills from
Sure.
sales to HR. So the transition wasn't as daunting as I thought it might be. But I embarked on this incredible opportunity to work for some fantastic organizations. Just prior to joining Alsco, I was head of HR for a construction equipment distributor.
Okay.
And had a fantastic team. We were able to accomplish a lot of things, and then led that through COVID. And on the other end of COVID, I had an opportunity to kind of reevaluate things. And I said, what do I really want to do with my career? What type of organization do I want to work for? And I went on the search for a company that aligned closely with my values. And that's how I found Alsco. I mean, ironically, it was an article that Bob had wrote. I think it was an op-ed, and he just shared his opinion and his viewpoints on things, and I just felt aligned with the way he viewed things.
So you didn't know anybody who worked for the company?
I had
or
no idea, Dana. I had no idea at all. And through that research, I looked for opportunities, and when the right opportunity came along, I put my name in the hat.
Well, we're excited that you did. And that opportunity then was a HR business partner for Region 6,
That's
which
correct.
is not even the region that
No.
you technically live in, right? So prior to that, had you done much? You maybe hadn't needed to do a lot of travel with your work? Or had you it in the sales environment, maybe you had?
I traveled quite a bit in the sales environment, and even in prior HR roles, I always had responsibility for a division or region, so I traveled throughout the region. But to your point, I joined Region 6, hired in by Wayne Moore, who was the regional manager at the time. And anyone that knows Wayne knows he's got his catchphrases.
Absolutely.
if you can get 10 of them, then you're doing pretty well.
Right.
But worked for Wayne for a couple of years, and then the regions were realigned. Got a chance to support Region 5 with the team in the Carolinas, Georgia, and down in Florida. Met some fantastic people. Built some great relationships that I think will stand the test of time. But it's been a fantastic journey so far, and it's only getting better.
Well, I know when we first met in person, it was in Hyannis.
Yes.
For when you were assisting the acquisition transition for the Churchill acquisition.
Yeah.
And I had heard all of these things about the infamous Gene, oh, you're going to love him, he's really great. And I'm like, well, I mean, okay, I hope
see.
so.
Yeah.
You know, right? And now we're going to be very closely partnered, so I'm interested in what that may look like. So you were regional HR business partner, and then what was your next step after that? Because you've been on a bit of a freight train
yes,
here.
Yes.
So
I took on responsibility earlier this year for leadership development, including the MTP program. And so for the last 6 months or so, I've been working with that group and helping to enhance some of the offerings that we have from a MTP standpoint.
And had you been involved in something similar to that in the past, being able to develop stuff like that? Yeah.
Leadership development has always been a passion of mine, and it's always been a component of the work that I've done. If I'm being honest, leadership development is probably one of my favorite components of HR. We deal with any number of issues, and there are a vast array of things that you have to understand and know. But when it comes to leadership development, when you can see someone start from A and work their way to Z, and you had some sort of small part in that,
right.
That's extremely fulfilling for me.
Well, and I love building out those offerings for us, because even as old of a company as Alsco is, we really have not had in the past a formal offering like that. Right. A lot of the training and support has been more around operational experience, which is key to being successful, but it's not the only thing.
Absolutely.
And so I think sometimes people think about soft skills as, they read that word soft and maybe think optional or unnecessary, and I think that's wholly not true. You know, and the more sophisticated everybody gets and the industry gets, the more important it is that we build in those leadership development. So where did you imagine taking that, and kind of what was the start of that journey for you over the last 6 months?
Some of those skills, Dana, just come natural to certain people. Like you have a certain demeanor and a way of doing things that you put people at ease. And even in the most hair-raising situations, you're that calm hand that keeps everyone at bay. Now, the rest of us have to work at that stuff. The rest of us need that development component. And, Alsco has a workforce that's entering late stages of their career. Yeah. And so we've got to find a way to capture some of that tacit knowledge and to make sure that this next generation of employees that are coming along have the opportunity to develop those soft skills. And I say soft skills, but they're really leadership imperatives. Right.
That's a better term, thank you, because soft skills has always kind of gotten under my skin a bit.
They are what they are.
Yeah.
You put a different label on it, but they are leadership imperatives. I mean, when you think about the number of generations that are operating in our branches today, when you think about the number of employees and how much we've grown, even from a sales standpoint, like we're talking about today.
Well, just the speed that everything changes. Yeah, you need
technology. So the ability,
different toolbox to get you through all of that.
Absolutely, that ability to communicate, that ability to lead through change, that ability to get a team to gather and congregate around a common shared goal. That's a unique skill set. Yeah. And we want to hire individuals with potential, but we want to give them the development they need. And development for me is more of a journey than a destination. Sure. You never really arrive, in my standpoint. There's always opportunity to get better. Yeah.
Well, and it's a false summit is the way I think of it, right? So you're climbing, you think you know what the destination is, but the minute you get there, you're like, oh, now that I'm seeing it from this vantage point, there's more road to go, which is great. Maybe frustrating in some respects, but it's also pretty great in terms of having a long career and a long life.
Absolutely.
I mean, those are life skills too. So roll forward 6 months only, and 6 or 7 months. John Yagi, Dr. John Yagi is how we will refer to him now.
Dr. J.
Dr. J, even better, has exited stage left for a new opportunity, which then created the director position available. And so congratulations on assuming that new role.
Thank you.
And what are your kind of hopes and dreams of either parts that you want to double down on, things that you want to improve and change, or are we staying the course? How are you viewing the position at the moment?
I owe a debt of gratitude to John. not only for creating the opportunity for me to,
yeah.
to take on
Thanks
this
for
role,
leaving, buddy. Yeah, no, he will
but,
be sorely missed.
but leaving the team in really good shape. You know, I couldn't ask for a better situation to step into. We have strong leadership in all of our key positions. We've got great tenure in those roles, just a plethora of knowledgeable professionals that know how to do their job. The way I like to describe it is there's nothing broken that I need to go in and fix, but there are areas that we have an opportunity to enhance.
Sure.
This environment is constantly changing. I look at our mission as an organization. I mean, our mission specifically references providing a safe, enriching, diverse work environment.
Right.
And in order for us to do that and to keep up with the ever-changing times, we have to be able to enhance some of the offerings that we do today. To point the leadership development piece, I mean, that's something that we haven't had in the past. It's essential to our success and sustainability. We got to make sure that we're continuing to make those investments.
And we've had, and of course at the recent Management Trainee Conference in Vancouver, the first one that you were host of in quite rapid fashion. I think you had to get everything together, but really well done.
Thank you.
And Jim Kearns, I believe it was, talked a little bit about how Alsco has had different iterations of this type of program in the past. And I feel like it's just getting its real legs underneath it to really fly. And so I think there's always more work to be done, of course, but
Absolutely.
I think the focus is really good. So what do you think, and maybe it's too early now, I mean, you're literally like 10 days, less than 10 days into all of this, 10 working days, but what are you doing in the next 90 days?
Absolutely.
Think about it that way.
In addition to engaging with the team and getting to know more about them and more about me, we've got some huge hurdles that we need to clear. One of the topics that we've discussed throughout this entire week has been turnover of our sales consultants. What are the things that we can do to kind of curb that trend that we've seen from a standpoint? Are there things we can do from a compensation standpoint, from an onboarding standpoint,
Right.
from a recruiting standpoint?
Training and support.
Training and
all
support,
of that,
all
yeah.
the entire employee life cycle. So I'd say if there were a top priority for this team is to continue the trends that we've seen in reducing turnover over the last couple of years.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really good progress
Absolutely.
made in that area.
Absolutely, and to focus on how are we going to impact that SC turnover that is essential to our growth.
So let's talk about operations for a minute. I think one of John's particular strengths was that he had a lot of operational experience from his past work life with a competitor and then continued that on with Alsco. How much exposure did you have in your prior roles, prior Alsco roles, to the operations arena, and what do you think maybe you need to augment so that you can be, you know, kind of that highest level partner
Right.
for everybody who's going to be
Absolutely.
clamoring at your door?
Absolutely. We have to be lockstep with our operations group. I mean, HR and our team, we're not a profit generating component
Right.
of the organization. We are reliant on our operations teams, on our sales teams in order to pay our salaries. And so us being aligned with them every step of the way, the decisions we make being aligned with their organizational goals, every role that I've had the luxury of being closely tied to the operations
Right.
function. One of the ways that I think from an HR standpoint that I kind of separate how I operate versus how a traditional HR leader would operate is I want to make sure that the decisions we make are consistent with operations delivering, because I don't want to make decisions in a vacuum and then operations not be able to execute.
Right,
on
yeah, finally, like, what was he
what
thinking
was-
when that happened? Yeah, well,
Like, that's the guy they put in the
yeah,
role.
I would like to talk to Eugene Ketter, please.
But I've been extremely fortunate. Every role that I've had from an HR standpoint, it's always been, Gene, you have a sales background, you have an operations background, help us lean in more to make sure that we're aligned with what they're dealing with.
Right.
Plus, I really want to understand, what are your pain points? What are the issues that you're dealing with day out? What are the distractions and the noise that's
Right.
getting in your way of accomplishing things, and how can we best support that? So, I will not be the type of person that pushes forward without making sure that I
having
engage
that
with them.
understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like the way of thinking about that in terms of, what are your pain points? What is the friction that you're experiencing? Because when we look at what's inside of operations and it's very efficiency, performance driven, you can't get enough weeds out of the way.
Absolutely
right?
not.
And so I think of that even when we're driving projects forward, that we're almost the front team in a way, or the reconnaissance team that you send in ahead to make sure that there are no landmines up,
Right.
So that when everybody comes in full force, they are just ready to do their jobs,
Right.
heads down, focusing on what they need to focus on, and that's serving our customers, of course, and improving the operation. So
You referenced the Churchill acquisition, and that being the first opportunity I got a chance to really engage with your team.
Yeah.
I was impressed and amazed by their ability to adapt to the changing environment. I mean, we walked in with expectations of what needed to be done,
Right.
and we had our roadmap.
Did you find some different things?
But
Yeah.
there were some
Right.
detours that
Yeah.
we had to take, and each step of the way, your team was quickly aligned on, okay, how do we want to approach it? How do we best want to deal with it? And how do we want to communicate that to employees? Every piece of it, they made sure to account for how is this going to affect and impact the individuals who were coming in and changing their world.
Right.
And that made a huge difference.
It's not nothing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about in different roles that you've had and at different levels in organizations, you've had an opportunity to maybe try out a few different leadership styles, or kind of figure out where you best fit or feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
How would you describe the type of leader that you are today, or even aspire to be?
That's always been a difficult question for me to answer, because I think how I come across as a leader is really defined by the team.
Right.
More so than how I see myself. I know how I would like to see myself. I would like to be the type of leader where people say, Gene is authentic. I can go to him with any concern or any issue, and I know that he's not going to prejudge or jump to conclusions.
Right.
He's going to hear me out. I want to be the type of leader that is good at cognitive dissonance. I want to be able to take competing thoughts and be able to see both sides of the issue and come up with the right solution that's best for the organization. I'm a firm believer that there are great ideas that don't originate in my head.
Right.
And so let's find the best idea and path forward. I have had a chance to try different leadership styles, and the one that has best worked for me, the one that I've been able to stay true to, is just being an authentic leader. Right. that takes the needs of the organization and the team and puts them before my individual needs.
Yeah. So what do you view some of your, other than the turnover that we talked about earlier, other challenges that you'll be facing over the next, just until everything kind of gets resettled, shall we say?
Yeah. Leading through change, Dana.
Yeah.
I mean, our organization is undergoing so much change right now. Go
and
ahead.
trying to act, well, I was going to say, and trying to act like we're not, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a lot of change. Everybody acting like, yeah, we've done this before. We're good. It's okay. Not a problem, And while you've got shifting sands underneath you, and
Absolutely.
everybody's just struggling to stay,
Absolutely.
stay on top.
I mean, from acquisitions to our growth initiatives to all the things we're trying to accomplish, I think about the amount of change, and have we really equipped our leaders and our employees to deal with that amount of change? Because it's easy to think, okay, we'll write a new plan, we'll put a change program in place, and then everybody will jump on board, and we'll be on our way.
We'll send out the email, we'll be good to go.
And that's just not the way it happens. You have your early adopters that get on board right away. You have the ones that are going to take a little bit longer and maybe a little more skeptical about the rate of change. And then you have your laggards that are going to take their time and fight tooth and nail to keep the status quo. And so
may never quite come to the party,
exactly.
too.
And so we have to be able to help our leaders develop those skills to handle those situations.
Right.
Situational leadership, training, things around empathy, understanding that no one necessarily likes change, but the way I like to say it is that if I tell someone, hey, I want to increase your pay every paycheck, no one ever complains about change.
Right. Yeah.
But when you talk about
it's a change I can get on board with. Yeah.
But it's ways that we can communicate that change, ways that we can effectively administer that change. And if there are individuals that aren't willing to get on board, ways that we can, help free them up for new opportunities.
Right, yeah. I think that is, change is a constant, so that's one truth. The competing truth is that change has never been more aggressive or faster in the world, quite frankly, and then of course that's going to spill over into business and some of the initiatives and choices that we have made.
Absolutely.
And to try to exude confidence at the same time that you have questions is it's a nuanced shuffle or dance that you just kind of have to ease into, but also acknowledge when like, I'm freaking out over here. I'm just going to say that out loud, and we're all going to move on together.
And create a space where we have the psychological safety to have those discussions. Sure. I mean, in our meeting, we can have an initiative that we're working on, and you could be on one side of the spectrum, and I'm on the other end, and we can debate back and forth all day long about who's right and who's wrong. But when we go out and talk to our employees, we need to be aligned.
That is correct.
We need to be on the same page. Because employees will see through it right away, and then they'll say, well, do I really need to take this change seriously if my manager isn't even behind it?
Right. So one of the things, and knowing too that you'll be sitting in all of our staff meetings and stuff now, which I'm looking forward to, I suspect that after a few months you'll be like, what did I just get involved in? But because we are talking about a lot of different things, and the conversations are slightly different perhaps than what we're presenting at a national sales meeting or what we might see out in the field. So we did the DISC assessment, and of course you've certainly done that, and know Michael Neuendorf, who I think may have worked with you. What was your DISC assessment?
I was DC, so that means I am the type of person that I like kind of taking charge on certain issues, but I'm also going to check in 15 times to make sure everyone's on the same page before we move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is interesting to note. I can share everybody else's with you too if you don't already have them from our team.
Please do.
I am a D. And kind of right in the middle of the triangle. Yeah. But what was interesting for me, and I don't know if you found this, in looking through the finer details of it, I had almost two different headspaces. Like, who am I when I am a project manager driving a project forward versus who I am when I'm a member of a leadership team? It's like the executive brain, So that's my split personality. I've shared that with you now. I hope this is the psychological safe space we were talking about earlier. I think it's the rumor going around. Yeah. Well, look, Jean, we're so excited to see what you bring to this new role. I agree. You have a great team supporting you, and I think together that you guys are going to achieve really great things.
Thank you so much, Dana. I certainly hope so. I'm very bullish on our team.
Good. Good. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That's all for today's episode of the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of Alsco Uniforms, where we explore the growth and challenges in our industry. Tune in next time for more industry insights, growth strategies, and tales from the field. If you've enjoyed our time together, please leave us a rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you want to learn more about our services, visit us at alsco.com. From all of us here at the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast at Alsco Uniforms, thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay clean, and we'll see you in the next episode.